Hello, and welcome to Chabot News for November 30th, 2022. My name is Jonathan Piper II, and I hope you had a festive Thanksgiving. Today, we will be covering a new form of cremations, Twitter's recent moves, and the holidays at San Jose's Winchester house. All that and more coming up on Chabot News. Have you ever questioned whether there's aliens existing or whether the moon launch was a hoax? Well, I'm sure you've never heard of anything like this. The next time I ask someone, what's in space? Apparently, ashes are, and not just from stardust, but from humans who've been committed to the stars. A company called Celatis sends cremated remains of loved ones and DNA of the living into space. The company takes between 1 and 7 grams of human ashes, places them inside a capsule, and has them launched as a secondary payload on a rocket. The team at Celatis said they've worked in tandem with SpaceX, Spaceport American, and others to shoot over 1,700 people into space since their first launch in 1997. This week, a Sacramento area woman, Sai Vang, will join the elite group of people to grace outer space after death. Wendy Yang, Sai's sister, spoke about her sister over a Zoom. Wendy was traveling to the launch site in New Mexico where her sister's ashes will soon be shot into orbit. She giggled as she reflected on the decision to send her sister on an eternal flight with the stars. She hasn't been to space yet, she said, when trying to figure out how to memorialize her sister. In life, Sai is described by loved ones as a kind-hearted, loving, and full of adventure. Sai worked in the Sacramento area as a paralegal, and after raising her son, she decided to travel the world, according to the Yang family. Sai traveled to over 30 different countries, climbed to the base of camp of Mount Everest, and worked with refugees while teaching children around the world. Sai died in November 2022 after complications with ovarian cancer. The Yang family said this is a way to honor Sai, allowing her the last adventure, even if it's in the afterlife. Austin Lee Edwards, a former Virginia police officer, was killed in a shootout while trying to flee authorities after catfishing a teen, murdering her family, and then kidnapping her, all in Riverside, California. Officers with the Riverside Police were dispatched Friday to check the welfare of a distressed teen getting into a red car. Dispatchers began getting calls about a fire a few houses away from where the welfare check originated. Edwards was catfishing the victim, developing an online relationship with the teen, and obtained her personal information. He traveled from Virginia to Riverside, parked in his vehicle in the neighbor's driveway, and walked to the teen's home. Several hours after the bodies of her family were found, Edwards drove the teen through San Bernardino County, and according to the release, Edwards exchanged gunfire with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputies attempting to stop him. He was shot by deputies and was later pronounced dead at the scene. The teen, however, was unharmed, and later placed into protective custody of the Riverside County Department of Public Social Services. Edwards went from Virginia State Police in October to the Washington County Sheriff's Office in the state of Virginia. So let this be a warning to all of the entire law enforcement community that such an evil and wicked person can infiltrate law enforcement and conceal their true identity as a computer predator and a heinous murderer. This is yet another horrific reminder that predators are existing online and they do prey on children. So please be safe, be vigilant, and stay off the interwebs. The City of Hayward Area Recreation and Park District, Hayward Chamber of Commerce, and the Eden Area Interfaith Council are teaming with Hayward Public Schools and local performers to present a special version of the annual Light Up the Season event from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Saturday, December 3rd at City Hall Plaza. Song, dance, and musical performances by school and other groups, and seasonal displays provided by the City of Hayward, Chamber of Commerce, and Interfaith Council will celebrate the wintertime traditions of the diverse Hayward communities. There will be family, fun, games, and activities presented by Hayward Area Recreation and Park District, HARD for short. A backpack giveaway by Raising Leaders, appearances by Kirby, and the Hayward Public Library Book Mobile, an antique Hayward fire engine, and other apparatus, and much more. Capping off the festivities will be a tree decorating lighting ceremony at 5:30 p.m. on City Hall Plaza and inside of City Hall Rotunda, followed by opportunities for photo taking to capture and share displays and memories to come. Hayward was again recognized as one of 122 local governments worldwide and among 5 other jurisdictions in the San Francisco Bay Area on the 2022 CDP Cities A list for its leadership in environmental action. The CDP A-list designation marks the 4th time in 5 years that Hayward has earned the honor. The designation recognizes the city of Hayward for municipal investment in on-site renewable energy generation and recycled water infrastructure. For new building standards to phase out reliance on natural gas, completing a climate risk and vulnerability assessment as a part of the updating the city's hazards and safety element in assessing litter hotspots. Using a data science approach in 2018, CDP began to score cities from A to D based on their disclosures from how effectively they are managing measures and working to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and for adapting to climate risks. That year, Hayward was one of just 7% of cities who reported their environmental data through CDP to receive a grade A. 2022 marks the 3rd year in a row and 4th time since 2018 that Hayward has received the A-list designation. Now to Hamza for this week's entertainment news.
Swifties are wondering why Taylor's newest album didn't get a Grammy nomination. Simply put, the album didn't meet the submission deadline. The Grammys always have some surprises and snubs, but for Taylor Swift, her latest album, Midnights, has been phenomenally successful. It even made her the first artist ever to occupy all top 10 spots on Billboard Hot 100 simultaneously. This had many people wondering why her collection of songs was not nominated. Her album was released a few weeks after the October 1st deadline to be considered. It's not a total loss for Swift. She did receive 4 nominations, including Song of the Year for All Too Well, a 10-minute version, and short film. Antoine Fuqua, the director of Will Smith's new movie, Emancipation, hopes audiences can get past Smith's infamous Oscar slap of Chris Rock. Fuqua wants people to instead focus on the narrative at the heart of Emancipation, namely the historic struggle against slavery in America. In the film, Smith plays a character named Peter, a man who escapes from slavery. Emancipation hits theaters in limited release on December 2nd and then starts streaming on Apple TV Plus a week later. After the Oscar slap earlier this year, movie watchers and industry insiders alike wondered how it would impact Smith's career. Smith, who won Best Actor for playing Richard Williams, father of tennis stars Venus and Serena, was banned from all Academy events and programs for 10 years. That's all for this week's entertainment. Back to you, Jonathan.
Thanks, Hamza. Next week, the San Francisco-based company Twitter will be bringing back the old, as in old accounts, that is. These ones were banned and will be reactivated by Twitter owner Elon Musk. He made this announcement on Thursday. Exactly who that involves and when has not been made official. But the move comes after Musk posted a poll asking if Twitter should reinstate suspended accounts that haven't broken the law. About 75% of responders agreed. Putting the question to a poll contradicts what Musk said after taking control of Twitter, that there would be a council to decide on reinstating banned accounts. Halloween has come and gone, but it's never too late to visit the Winchester Mystery House. This beautiful house was built by Sarah Winchester in part to cope with the grief of losing her husband and infant child. The house became a tourist attraction 9 months after the Winchester's death in 1922. We sent our reporter, Don Wright, down to San Jose to find out more.
Deep in the heart of San Jose, California, on Winchester Boulevard, lays the Winchester Mystery House. This lush Queen Anne Victorian mansion has been drawing tourists from around the world for more than 100 years. Come with us now as we go inside and learn a little bit about Sarah Winchester.
Sarah Winchester was a New England girl, and she married the boy down the street who happened to be William Winchester, whose father eventually started the Winchester Repeating Arms Company. Then about 15 years later, William died of tuberculosis, very sadly leaving Sarah a relatively young widow. She decided then to come to California, like so many other people did at that time.
Sarah bought this small farmhouse and immediately began to remodel and expand it. For the next 36 years, construction continued virtually non-stop until Sarah died in 1922. At one point, the house was 7 stories tall, but sadly, the earthquake of 1906 leveled the top 4 floors. Rather than rebuild, Sarah decided to patch over the damage, which resulted in a number of oddities like staircases that lead to ceilings, doors that open to nowhere, and a switchback staircase, which only rises about 9 feet, but has 7 flights with 40 steps, each of which are only 2 inches high. Sarah built this because of her crippling arthritis, which made it hard for her to climb ordinary stairs.
The house is so interesting. Obviously, it's not like any other house in the world. Any house that gets remodeled over and over is bound to become a little bit strange. A lot of Victorian houses that have been remodeled have what you might call oddities.
Around the holidays, the Winchester Mystery House is adorned with lavish decorations to enchant visitors.
Actually, during the Victorian times, ghost stories were actually very common to being told during the holiday season. So a lot of people don't realize that. So we have a lot of Victorian traditions when it comes to that we get to tell at the house, and it's very special. The day after Thanksgiving, so November 25th, we are starting our holiday tours. And then we also have a very, very special tour, and it is our Holidays with the Historian tour with our very special historian, Jan Bomi. And so we have an illusionist that is coming to the house it's actually after Christmas. So we have the Menagerie Oddities Market. It's the first time we're ever hosting that event here. So we have the Houdini Escape Room, which is modeled off of Houdini's visit to the house. Tickets are on sale at winchestermysteryhouse.com. And we also have axe throwing on the estate that you can also book online. But I believe during the Holiday Oddities Market, we will be doing for $13. You can throw it 13 times. It's just a really special time of year to come to the Winchester Mystery House. Again, it's one of my favorite times to come and see the house. And everyone should book a visit and come see us. Yeah.
Holiday events and tours continue from Thanksgiving Day until January 1st.
I think that Sarah was an amazing person. I would have liked to have met her. And I think that she'd be very pleased that this house that she built and never imagined would survive her is still employing people. And to this very day, I think she'd be very pleased with that.
Reporting from San Jose, this is Don Wright for KCTH, Channel 27, Chabot College News.
Thanks, Don. The Winchester Mystery House is a sight to behold with 160 rooms, 2,000 doors, 10,000 windows, 47 stairways, 47 fireplaces, 13 bathrooms, and 6 kitchens. Tickets are available online, by phone, and on site. We've all heard of the Neighborhood Watch, but what about Neighborhood Shovel? A Minnesota group called St. Lee City Snow Angels is spending this winter helping neighbors who need a hand removing snow from their walkways. David Schumann reports.
Hi, Jean. I'm Seneca.
Strangers. Until this moment, all Seneca Kruger knew was that Jean Kingbird needed help with this.
My eldest son, that I'm the caregiver for, uses a wheelchair for mobility. So if that ramp is covered, he cannot leave the house at all.
Jean turned to the St. Louis City Snow Angels, a growing Facebook group connecting volunteers like Seneca with other group members who can't shovel all this snow themselves. A good deed with great impact.
I'm going to cry, sorry. It feels very joyful, it feels loving, and I'm very, very grateful. You've given him access to everything, and I think people underestimate how big of a difference that makes.
I get so much out of this too, right? Just being able to, help neighbors.
The Snow Angels have no age requirement. A group of wrestlers from the St. Agnes School in St. Paul left practice Tuesday and dug right in.
Well, it's pretty easy for us. It can make a big difference for them. It feels pretty good. I'm glad I can do this.
The creator of the group hopes to develop similar volunteer networks all over the city.
It gives me so much joy to do this. It's a little bit ridiculous how happy it makes me. Because I actually think that most people do want to help each other, and sometimes they just don't know how to get started.
Thanks, David. Winter's just getting going, so the Snow Angels have been busy, a few months ahead of them. A couple in Iowa has set up a mailbox for Santa again this year, and they are writing back for the jolly old elf since he is busy, to say the least. Lauren Johnson introduces us to two of Santa's helpers.
Christmas is in full swing at the Charlton household in Grimes. Along with their holiday decor, you'll find a mailbox in their front yard encouraging kids to drop off their letters to Santa.
We really want this to take off, not for us or not for the publicity, but just for the fact of the joy it brings.
Bryce and Austin Charlton take this time every year to play Santa and write back to these letters. They've been doing it for the past few years.
The first year we got about 130 letters. Then from there, the second year we got over 400. And then last year we had about 180.
Every letter and toy list they receive gets a response back from Santa. And those letters don't just come from their neighbors, but from across the country.
Rhode Island.
Vermont.
Vermont. And a lot of them were local. There were even Urbandale, Ankeny, Ames.
Cedar Falls, Cedar Rapids, New York, we got one from. So it's really cool to see that people here are spreading it to even other states.
The couple was inspired to start the tradition as a way to engage with the community before having a child of their own. Now being the proud parents of a 2-year-old they adopted earlier this year, they look forward to showing him this festive tradition.
I think he would love to, when he gets older, to realize everything that we put into it to help Santa out.
Thanks, Lauren. Families can drop off their letters to Santa through December 18th. Here's Stanley for more This Week's Sports News.
Thanks, Jonathan. It was tense, it was nervy, and it was gut-wrenching at times for U.S. fans. But the United States advanced to the knockout stage of the 2022 World Cup by defeating Iran 1-0 in a must-win match. Needing simply a victory to advance, Christian Pulisic delivered the biggest moment of his USMNT career, scoring in the 30th minute and injuring himself in the process. The U.S. star put his body on the line to deliver the moment the U.S. needed to advance, taking a knee from the Iranian goalkeeper Alireza Beveren to the gut in the process. 9 added minutes at the end of the regulation time made things even more tense, but Iran failed to produce the goal they needed. The victory affords the U.S. a chance to play in the round of 16, where they will meet Group A winners Netherlands on Saturday. Advancing past the group stage was the minimum goal for the USA, and with this gutsy win, they cleared that bar. NFL star Odell Beckham Jr. was removed from a flight Sunday morning for refusing to buckle his seatbelt. Beckham was on American Airlines flight from Miami to LA when crew members say he refused to comply with their safety rules. Members of the flight crew says the NFL free agent wide receiver appeared to be coming in and out of consciousness at the time. The pilot was forced to abort takeoff and return to the gate. Miami police says they were called on board the plane for what was described as a medical emergency. Passengers were asked to deplane, and Beckham eventually complied with requests by police to get out of his seat. Beckham was escorted off the plane, and so far no charges have been filed in the incident. A representative for Beckham calls it all a misunderstanding, explaining that he simply fell asleep on the plane. That's all for this week's sports. Now back to Jonathan.
Thanks, Stanley. That's all for Chabot News this week. Thanks to all the students and staff in the Mass Communications Department here at Chabot College for making this production possible. You can watch us anytime online at youtube.com/Chabot TV. Stay tuned to KCTH Channel 27 for more Chabot TV. And be well, brother.